Welcome back to Sports Talk's Game Breakers here on Prime Video. I am Eitan Levine. As always, I'm joined by the weekend warrior himself, Drexel Clemens over here to my right. In studio right now, I'll say it. What a freaking booking. Give it up for Curran Bhatia. How's it going, man?
Good. No, thank you guys for having me. I'm glad to come down to the 6th floor here to be on this show. I was on the backup plan. Glad to be on your show.
Be honest, we know the 6th floor is better.
There's better floor.
The snacks. There might have been snacks on the 7th floor, but I didn't see them, but I did see the snacks.
Okay, well, can I just say that the upstairs snacks, they do occasionally get like the Andy Cohen snacks and stuff like that. So randomly, they do have the better snacks, but consistency,
here.
You're going here.
It's all here.
You know?
I mean, you would think Andy Cohen probably has the better snacks. And I think that's
understandable.
It's Andy Cohen.
You can't just give him what we eat.
Yeah.
Like,
Once we do New Year's, we'll get snacks. Yeah. Okay? But right now, we get small holidays. Labor Day, Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Okay?
There's no way that Andy Cohen has ever had to lick Cheeto dust off of his hand. It just has never happened. He has someone that he hires to lick it off his hand.
You're speaking from experience.
He pays me about $50. But we don't talk about that. Okay, let's talk about some stuff that's happening. Spence Crawford is happening this weekend. Arguably, and then talk to me about this. This has got to be like the biggest boxing match that has happened in years. These are two undefeated people, undisputed champions that are going up against each other. You know, how big is this event?
I mean, this is as big as it gets for boxing. This is two undefeated champions, like you said. They're both American, both undefeated. This is for undisputed status at welterweight, so that's 147 pounds. So the one thing about boxing that's tough, if you watch any other sport, there's usually one champion. In boxing, there's 4 champions. So Errol Spence has 3 belts at 147. Terrence Crawford has the other one. So they're coming together, not just for unification, but for undisputed status. So the one king of 147 pounds.
Wait, so they get the 4 belts? Whoever wins gets the 4?
Whoever wins will have all 4 belts at 147.
Oh, wait, so then the one guy with the 3 could potentially have to hand over 3 at once?
That's correct, yeah.
Whoa!
That is insane.
That would suck.
Can you put this into context
I'd hate that.
for me, please? Where does this rank? Is this Mayweather-Pacquiao level fighting? Is this like a Muhammad Ali kind of fight? Where does this rank? Because these are 2 men in their prime right now.
Yeah, 2 men in their prime, undefeated. It has everything that you'd want. So where does it rank? Well, Mayweather and Pacquiao were probably more popular because Pacquiao had global appeal, right? From the Philippines, he became like a global icon, Mayweather too. But in terms of boxing talent and 1 versus 1A kind of thing, this is very competitive. I'm going to say this is going to be much more competitive than Mayweather-Pacquiao was.
Okay.
If you watch Mayweather-Pacquiao, it was pretty one-sided.
Yep.
Pacquiao did have a shoulder injury, but still, it was one-sided. This is going to be 2 guys who are in their absolute prime. The thing about Mayweather-Pacquiao was we had to wait many years for it to happen, and that was so frustrating. This is happening when both guys are in their mid-30s, and this is the right time for this.
So I remember from the Mayweather-Pacquiao thing, Mayweather was he was hard to deal with. He was the one that was kind of like, yeah, I'll fight you. They're like, okay, let's fight. He'd be like, not enough money or whatever. He seemed like he was dragging along a little bit. So when we went into the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, it did feel like, oh, finally. And then it was a little bit of a letdown. With this fight, how have we gotten here? Talk to me about Spence. Talk to me about Crawford. How has this event happened?
The issue with boxing is that it's very fragmented. It's a fragmented sport. So different fighters are with different promoters, and that's what makes these matchups so hard. So Mayweather for a long time was aligned with Showtime. Pacquiao was aligned with HBO. So then it was like, are these guys going to come together? Because they can fight. Let's say Mayweather can fight Pacquiao for, let's say, 50, 60 million or whatever. He could fight someone who's not as good as Pacquiao for, let's say, 20, 30 million. So you could just keep fighting those not as good people and not take the risk. Finally, public demand makes them come together. In this case, everyone wanted Spence versus Crawford for like the longest time. People are calling for this. Crawford was with Top Rank ESPN. Spence was with PBC, Showtime, Fox Sports. Crawford became a free agent. He aligned now under the PBC umbrella. This is going to be on Showtime pay-per-view. So it takes public demand. It takes people like us talking about it and saying, hey, we want to see these guys fight. We want to see this fight come together and not letting these fighters off the hook. That's what it takes.
And this is like a 5-year thing that happened because initially they wanted to fight in 2018, which I think they would have both been 30. Like they would have had this thing happen. I didn't know that there was all this bureaucracy around it. I thought if you were a boxer and you wanted to fight somebody, you just say, hey, I want to fight you next Tuesday, and then you guys fight. What is boxing going to do to kind of make this a more streamlined thing in the future, or is this just what boxing is?
That's the $1 million question, right? How do we get the matchups that we want? It's a process, and hopefully it'll come together. Fights like this are happening because, like I said, fans are demanding it. We're talking about it on places like this, so that needs to keep going. Fighters need to step up and give fans what they want at the same time. It's easy for us to say, sitting on the couch eating potato chips, saying, hey, you should risk your life against a tough opponent. But how does this happen more? more fan demand. And in terms of this fight, there's a lot of things that happened in the last couple of years. Errol Spence, I don't know if you guys saw this, but he went through a life-threatening car accident. His Ferrari flipped over many times. He didn't have any broken bones, which is crazy, but he could have died. And he came back from that. He came back from an eye injury. And he's actually looked better than ever, which is crazy to think about. Terrence Crawford has been doing great things at 140 pounds, now at 147 pounds. So yes, there was demand earlier, but I actually think this is a really good time for this fight to happen.
All right, last thing I want to ask about on this before we head over to One Championship stuff. Just break down the fighters to me. Who's got the edge? Who's better at what?
Yeah. It's kind of like 1 and 1A, right? So you could, everyone says it's a 50-50 fight. The betting underdog is Errol Spence. So you could argue that maybe there's some value there. If it's an equal fight and there's an underdog, you could argue, okay, there's some value there. I am going to give the edge to Spence, and it's 51-49, and I'll tell you why. Spence is a little bit bigger. This is going to be his last fight at 147 pounds. He's going to move up to 154.
He's planning on getting real fat next.
That's the thing. Like, in between fights, boxing stuff, you got to make weight. So Crawford was at 140 for a long time. He's been undefeated at 147, but still, he's technically the smaller guy. Crawford's a couple years older. He's 35. Spence is 33. I just think it's so subtle, the difference is, but if I had to pick one way, I would pick Spence.
All right, let's talk a little bit about One Championship fighting. We have One Championship 13 that's going to be coming up on August 4th. Massive cards on this. Chingiz Alazov versus Marat Grigorian for the featherweight kickboxing world championship. We're big Chingiz fans over here. Last match that we watched, he absolutely dominated. I forgot who the guy was. Superbon. He dominated Superbon. Going into this fight, he's my personal favorite. What is your takeaway with this?
Yeah, this is going to be a great fight. So we have Alazov, who you mentioned. So he's known as the best striker on planet Earth. That's his title.
Wow.
Now he's taking on Grigorian. Grigorian is known as the scariest kicker on planet Earth. So you have this collision clash. That's the main event of One Fight Night 13. I'm really excited for it because you have these two hungry guys. Now, both of these guys have actually beaten Superbon. Superbon did beat Grigorian in the rematch, but if anyone wants to get into One Fight Night and One Championship, you should watch Alazov's last fight with Superbon. This was an absolutely incredible knockout performance. A right hand puts him down. Then he did it 2 more times. He basically erased Superbon. And Superbon's a legend in this sport. So I'm very excited. There's going to be fireworks.
That was One Fight Night 6, by the way. You can watch that on Prime Sports. I do like, by the way, this is Hitmonlee versus Hitmonchan.
It really is.
If anyone gets that, this is the Pokemon that can hit versus the Pokemon that can kick.
What about this? What about Mikey Musumeci and Jared Brooks? So Jared Brooks, MMA fighter, Mikey Musumeci, arguably the best grappler in the entire world and several other planets now that we've added aliens, right? Jared Brooks coming in without this grappling experience and saying, I'm an MMA fighter and I'm trying to challenge Mikey Musumeci. Is this a good decision or a bad decision for Jared Brooks?
I'm going to say it's a good decision because here's the thing in combat sports. Not only do you have to compete in the ring, in the octagon, in the boxing ring, whatever it is, but you have to market yourself, and when the opportunities are there, you have to go for it. So just in terms of marketing for this fight, Mikey Musumeci, he goes by Darth Rigatoni.
Darth Rigatoni,
and
baby!
That's because of his diet. I know you guys spoke to him. Jared Brooks goes by the Monkey God. So you have Darth Rigatoni versus the Monkey God, and the marketing is just incredible for this. The thing about this fight, though, it is in grappling, and that is Mikey Musumeci's background. And Jared Brooks is challenging himself, but I applaud him for doing so because you have to take chances. You have to dare to be great in combat sports if you want to get ahead and get big opportunities.
But what if he ends up looking bad? Like, what if he gets in here and he's well over his head? Does that, not make him look bad moving forward?
I think the out that he has is that this is in grappling. So even if he looks bad in grappling, he could go and say, hey, I'm just going back to kickboxing. I'm going back to the discipline that I know. I tried this out. I challenged myself. And now I'm going to go back to kickboxing and maybe get a chance at Demetrius Johnson or another big name.
I will say that Mikey Musumeci has more to lose here. Because, if Jared Brooks loses, he can just say, MMA, this isn't my thing. I did what I did. Mikey Musumeci is incredible. Mikey Musumeci, if he beats him, it looks like he's just beating somebody that, is new to the thing. And then also if he loses, what does it say about Mikey Musumeci? What will Zuck say? Next time that they head into the dojo. I will like to point this out is that Mikey Musumeci, Darth Rigatoni, is Mark Zuckerberg's trainer. We got the Zuck Musk fight that's hopefully coming up soon. It originated on this show. I will keep on saying that. I came up with this freaking idea that they took from us. Before we get on back to serious. What? What is it?
I was in the room.
I said it.
I know you did.
You contributed. You contributed?
It was there.
I was like, yeah.
And then one of these.
And that's what really pushed it over the edge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was thinking about it.
It was
he was
this.
like, yeah.
He was like, you know what?
We're in.
I was out, but now I'm Zuck Musk.
Yes.
What do you think?
That's gonna. Well, real quick, we talked about Mikey Musumeci.
Yeah.
Now he's gonna be training Zuck. I'm sure you guys know about Musumeci's diet, right? Did he talk to you about this? Guys?
Pizza, pasta.
Pizza. So he 7,000 calories in one meal. He fasts for 23 hours a day, trains for 12 of those, and then eats his pizza and pasta. 7,000 calories. So I would say if you're training, if you looked at, it's probably a variation of some kind. Yeah, maybe the exact opposite. It sounds like all carbs versus no carbs. If you're
It's an
Zuckerberg,
extreme version of the South Beach diet.
there you go.
Sorry.
Yeah, very extreme. Flip it on its head. Zuckerberg, I would say, don't go with the diet. Go with the training of Musumeci. Don't go with the diet. Now, there's actually a photo that came out of Zuckerberg training. He looks ripped.
Ripped, baby.
You know what
Yes.
photos we
What do you
haven't
think?
seen? We haven't seen ripped Elon Musk yet.
Yeah.
No, but Elon Musk is actually training with George St. Pierre, who's one of the greatest fighters of all time. So he's also taking it seriously. Zuck is training with Musumeci, as you mentioned. He's also training with Israel Adesanya and Alexander Volkanovski. So it's like these guys are actually taking this seriously. And as much as we joke about it, that would be one of the biggest fights of all time. I mean, that would be, yes, it would be kind of like a circus show, like a, it wouldn't be the highest level of competition, but I mean, you're telling me you're not going to watch that? I would watch
Oh, yeah.
it.
No,
when they devolve into slap boxing at the end of it, I'm going to.
But not only am I watching it, but like, you bring up the point. I never even thought about this. George St. Pierre, massive, absolutely massive. Yeah. On one side, Israel Adesanya, I didn't know that he was on Zuck's team either. That's insane. This could be, if you got the money, if you have the money, this is what could happen.
Yeah, I mean, look, these guys are both billionaires, so I don't even think they should charge people for this fight. This shouldn't be a pay-per-view. If anything, just put the proceeds to charity.
It should be on NPR.
Exactly. But you know what you're not being charged for? Watching One Fight Night 13 next Friday, August 4th on Prime Video, baby. Musumeci versus Brooke, Alazar versus Gregorian is going to be the fight of the century, baby. So with that, we got to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with more Sports Talk Game Breakers right after this. Curran Bhatia, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for coming in, man.
Awesome. And congrats to you for getting that fight over the line. Zuck versus...
Thanks so much.
Zuck Musk.
Yeah.
It was the thumbs up.
Yeah, baby.
He thumbs